Ladies and gentlemen, life is a precious, fleeting masterpiece, and each one of us is its artist. But how often do we hand over the brush? How often do we allow others to dictate the strokes, colors, and shapes of our lives? Tonight, I ask you to refuse to be used. There is a quiet power in knowing your worth. You are not a mere tool in someone else's machinery, not a pawn on their chessboard. You are a unique, irreplaceable being, and it is your duty, yes, your duty, to honor that. The moment you allow someone to exploit you, you diminish not only your value, but also the very essence of who you are. Set boundaries, and set them boldly. Do not apologize for guarding the sanctity of your time, your energy, your soul. For there will always be those who, with velvet words and charming smiles, seek to pull you into their orbit. They will tempt you with promises, tug at your guilt, and appeal to your kindness. But kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. You know, and you know this well. Recognize the game before it begins. Listen closely, not to what they say, but to what they want. Flattery, after all, is the polished blade of manipulation. Guilt is the shackle, and obligation, the cage. Do not step into it willingly. Self-respect is not arrogance, it is survival. It is the quiet, steadfast flame that says, I am enough as I am. It is the refusal to bend under the weight of others' expectations or demands. And let me tell you, there is nothing more liberating than the word no. No is a shield. No is a declaration of independence. No is a masterpiece of its own. No is a masterpiece of its own. But saying no does not mean closing yourself off. It means opening yourself to relationships of true equality, ones built on mutual respect, where your light is not dimmed but celebrated. These are the connections that will enrich you, not drain you. Think for yourself, always. Do not let the opinions of others become the chains that bind you. Trust your intuition, for it is the voice of your truest self. And above all, remember this: your life is your own. No one has the right to use you unless you give them permission. And tonight, I urge you to never give that permission again. Understanding and valuing your self-worth is fundamental to living a life of dignity and authenticity. Self-worth is not just about external validation or achievements. It's about an intrinsic understanding of who you are, independent of others' opinions or expectations. At its core, self-worth is a deep recognition of your value as a person, rooted in the unique blend of your experiences, character, and potential. When you truly grasp your worth, it becomes a guiding force that shapes your decisions, relationships, and how you allow others to treat you. The challenge many face is that society often conditions people to tie their worth to external factors: success, wealth, status, or approval from others. This external dependency creates vulnerability, as it places your value in the hands of others, making you susceptible to exploitation. When your sense of worth is tied to pleasing others or meeting external expectations, you may find yourself compromising your values, time, and energy to gain fleeting approval. Recognizing your inherent worth is the antidote to this cycle. It means understanding that your value is not something to be earned. It is already there, unchanging and irrefutable. When you embrace this understanding, you become less likely to tolerate situations where you are undervalued or taken advantage of. People who fail to recognize their worth often fall into patterns of being used because they underestimate their right to assert boundaries or demand respect. This can manifest in relationships where one party takes and the other gives endlessly, in workplaces where employees are overburdened without recognition, or in social situations where kindness is mistaken for weakness. Recognizing your worth is the first step to breaking free from these dynamics. 3. Recognizing. Valuing yourself also involves self-compassion. It means forgiving your imperfections and celebrating your strengths. When you approach yourself with kindness, you are better equipped to navigate the world with confidence. This confidence radiates outward and subtly communicates to others that you are not someone to be taken lightly or used for their convenience. People who respect themselves command respect from others. Kahasu Nagasiku. The journey to understanding your worth begins with introspection. Take the time to reflect on your values, passions, and what makes you unique. Understand your boundaries, what you are willing to accept and what you are not. These boundaries are a reflection of your worth, a protective shield that ensures your dignity remains intact. Ultimately, valuing your self-worth is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-respect. It allows you to engage in relationships and situations from a place of strength, rather than neediness. It creates a foundation for a life where you are not easily swayed by manipulation or exploitation. When you recognize and honor your worth, you reclaim your power, asserting that your life and energy are precious resources, not to be used or wasted on anything that does not align with your values and self-respect. Setting clear boundaries is an essential act of self-care and self-respect, enabling you to define how others treat you and how you navigate relationships. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you, but rather frameworks that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. They create space for healthy interactions and ensure that your values, needs, and priorities are respected. Without boundaries, you risk becoming overextended, exploited, or disrespected by those who fail to appreciate or honor your worth. The first step in setting boundaries is self-awareness. You must understand your limits and identify situations that make you feel uncomfortable, drained, or undervalued. This requires honest reflection on what you need to feel safe and respected in your interactions. For example, do you find yourself constantly saying yes to demands that leave you overwhelmed? Do you feel taken advantage of in certain relationships? These feelings are indicators that boundaries may need to be established or reinforced. Communicating boundaries is equally crucial. It is not enough to understand your limits internally. You must express them clearly and assertively. When setting boundaries, use direct and respectful language that leaves no room for misinterpretation. For instance, instead of saying, "I'm busy," you might say, "I am not available to help with this task right now." This approach is firm yet respectful, conveying your limits without hostility. Effective communication is key to ensuring that your boundaries are understood and honored. Establishing boundaries often involves overcoming the fear of rejection or conflict. Many people hesitate to set boundaries because they worry about upsetting others or being perceived as difficult. However, it's important to remember that respecting your limits is not selfish. It is necessary for your well-being. Those who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, even if they are initially surprised or disappointed. If someone reacts negatively to your boundaries, it may be a sign that they were benefiting from your lack of them, underscoring the importance of standing firm. Boundaries also need consistency. Once established, they must be upheld consistently to be effective. If you allow exceptions or fail to reinforce them, you send mixed signals that can lead to confusion or further boundary violations. For example, if you set a boundary about not answering work emails after a certain time but then occasionally respond, you undermine your own limits. Consistency builds trust in your boundaries and demonstrates your commitment to self-respect. Healthy boundaries benefit not only you but also your relationships. They create clarity and reduce misunderstandings, fostering an environment of mutual respect. People know what to expect from you, and you avoid the resentment that often arises from overextending yourself. Relationships built on clear boundaries are more balanced and fulfilling, as they encourage honesty and equality. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of empowerment. It allows you to take control of your life and prioritize your needs without guilt or apology. It is a declaration that your time, energy, and well-being are valuable, and it reminds others to treat you with the respect and dignity you deserve. Recognizing manipulation tactics is a crucial skill for safeguarding your emotional and mental well-being. Manipulation often operates in subtle ways, making it difficult to detect, but its effects can leave you feeling used, devalued, or emotionally drained. Learning to identify these tactics equips you to protect yourself from being controlled or exploited, allowing you to maintain your autonomy and self-respect. Manipulators often employ various strategies to influence or control others for their own benefit. One common tactic is flattery. While genuine compliments are uplifting, manipulative flattery is excessive and designed to disarm you. It can create a false sense of closeness or obligation, making you more likely to comply with their requests. Prioritizing your needs. Manipulators create the impression that, for example, someone might shower you with praise and then follow up with a favor they expect you to fulfill, counting on your reluctance to disappoint them. Another prevalent tactic is guilt tripping. Manipulators use guilt as a weapon, framing situations in a way that makes you feel responsible for their emotions or problems. They may say things like, "I thought you cared about me," or, "After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" Such statements are intended to make you feel obligated to act in their favor, even at your own expense. Recognizing guilt tripping allows you to separate your emotions from their attempts to control you and evaluate the situation more objectively. Emotional blackmail is another insidious form of manipulation. In this tactic, manipulators use fear, obligation, or threats to force compliance. They might imply that your actions, or lack thereof, will have dire consequences, such as the loss of the relationship or harm to themselves. For instance, phrases like, "If you don't do this, I don't know what I'll do," are meant to pressure you into submission by exploiting your empathy or concern. Manipulators also rely on playing the victim to gain sympathy and avoid accountability. They portray themselves as helpless or unfairly treated, diverting attention away from their own actions and placing the responsibility on you to fix their problems. This tactic can make you feel as though you're the only one who can help them, even when doing so is to your detriment. Gaslighting is another powerful manipulative tool. This involves distorting reality to make you doubt your perceptions, memories, or judgment. A manipulator might dismiss your concerns by saying, "You're overreacting," or "That never happened," making you question your instincts and feel powerless. Recognizing gaslighting requires trust in your own experiences and a willingness to seek clarity and validation outside of the manipulator's narrative. By becoming aware of these tactics, you empower yourself to respond effectively. Recognizing manipulation is not about confronting others aggressively, but about maintaining your boundaries and integrity. It's about identifying patterns of behavior that feel wrong or exploitative and refusing to engage on those terms. Trust your intuition. If a situation or interaction feels off, it probably is. Empower yourself with the knowledge that manipulation only works when you allow it to. Fostering self-respect is one of the most empowering steps you can take toward leading a fulfilling and authentic life. Self-respect is the foundation upon which confidence, boundaries, and healthy relationships are built. It is a deep acknowledgement of your worth, independent of external validation, and it reflects in how you treat yourself and allow others to treat you. When you cultivate self-respect, you create a powerful shield against exploitation, manipulation, and disrespect. Self-respect begins with self-awareness. Understanding your values, needs, and boundaries allows you to define who you are and what you stand for. This awareness enables you to make decisions that align with your principles rather than succumbing to the pressure of others' expectations. When you know what matters to you, you are less likely to compromise your dignity for fleeting approval or acceptance. One of the most critical aspects of self-respect is how you talk to yourself. The inner dialogue you maintain can either uplift or diminish you. Negative self-talk, filled with criticism, doubt, and self-blame, erodes your self-esteem and weakens your sense of worth. On the other hand, a positive, compassionate internal dialogue reinforces your self-respect. Treating yourself with kindness and understanding, even in moments of failure or setback, helps you build resilience and confidence. Respecting yourself also involves taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. This means prioritizing your needs, setting aside time for self-care, and avoiding environments or habits that harm you. It's about recognizing that your health and happiness are valuable and deserving of attention. When you consistently choose actions that nurture your well-being, you affirm your worth in tangible ways. Another key element of self-respect is the ability to say no. Many people struggle with the fear of disappointing others or being perceived as unkind, leading them to say yes to demands that conflict with their values or overwhelm their capacity. However, saying no is not selfish. It is a powerful act of self-respect. It communicates that your time, energy, and priorities matter, and that failing to meet the values of the moment sucks. It is a beautiful thing. Learning to say no with confidence and grace strengthens your boundaries and prevents you from being taken for granted. Self-respect also transforms your relationships. When you respect yourself, you naturally attract people who respect you as well. You are less likely to tolerate toxic or one-sided relationships, and more likely to seek connections that are balanced, supportive, and genuine. Self-respect creates a standard for how others should treat you, and it empowers you to walk away from situations or people who fail to meet that standard. Finally, fostering self-respect involves celebrating your accomplishments and embracing your imperfections. Life is a journey of growth, and self-respect allows you to acknowledge your progress without being overly critical of your shortcomings. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and success simply because you exist. When you carry this belief in your heart, you radiate a quiet confidence that commands respect from the world around you. Empowering yourself through the ability to say no is one of the most liberating and transformative skills you can develop. At first glance, saying no may seem simple, but for many it is fraught with discomfort, guilt, or fear of rejection. However, learning to say no is an act of self-preservation and empowerment that allows you to honor your priorities, protect your boundaries, and maintain control over your life. Empowering. It is not just a refusal, it is a statement of self-respect and autonomy. The fear of saying no often stems from a desire to please others or avoid conflict. Many people feel obligated to agree to requests, even when doing so comes at a personal cost. This tendency to overcommit can lead to exhaustion, resentment, and a sense of losing control over your time and energy. Saying yes to everything often means saying no to yourself. No to your needs, no to your goals, and no to the peace of mind you deserve. Recognizing this dynamic is the first step toward reclaiming your power through the art of saying no. Saying no is not about rejecting people. It is about honoring your own limits. It requires a clear understanding of your priorities and values. When you know what truly matters to you, it becomes easier to evaluate requests and determine whether they align with your goals or detract from them. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you are effectively saying no to something else, often something more meaningful. By learning to say no strategically, you can ensure that your time and energy are invested in what truly matters. 1. Examine your relationships with those whom you feel strongly about. One of the keys to saying no effectively is communication. A well-delivered no does not have to be harsh or confrontational. It can be respectful and firm. For instance, instead of an outright refusal, you might say, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm unable to commit to this right now." This approach acknowledges the other person's request while maintaining your boundaries. The goal is to express your decision with confidence, leaving little room for negotiation or guilt. Guilt is a common obstacle when saying no, especially if you fear disappointing someone. However, it's important to remember that prioritizing your well-being is not selfish, it is necessary. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. Saying no allows you to take care of yourself, ensuring that you have the capacity to show up fully for the commitments you do choose to honor. The power of saying no extends beyond individual interactions. It shapes your entire life. When you become comfortable with saying no, you free yourself from the burden of people-pleasing and create space for opportunities that truly align with your values. It is an act of self-empowerment that reinforces your sense of autonomy and reminds the world, and yourself, that your time and energy are precious. Saying no is not a limitation, it is a choice, one that affirms your right to live a life that reflects your true priorities and desires. Encouraging independent thinking is one of the most powerful ways to resist being used or manipulated by others. Independent thinking is the ability to analyze, evaluate, and form your own opinions, free from the undue influence of societal norms, peer pressure, or persuasive individuals. It is the cornerstone of personal freedom and self-determination, allowing you to chart your own course in life with confidence and clarity. Developing this skill not only protects you from exploitation, but also empowers you to live authentically, guided by your values and beliefs. The journey to independent thinking begins with self-awareness. To think for yourself, you must first understand your own mind, your preferences, values, and principles. This requires stepping back from external noise and reflecting on what truly matters to you. Too often, people adopt the opinions and expectations of others without question, whether from family, friends, or society at large. While it is natural to be influenced by those around us, it becomes problematic when external influences override your own judgment or priorities. Critical thinking is a key component of independence. It involves questioning assumptions, seeking evidence, and analyzing information before forming conclusions. This means resisting the urge to accept ideas at face value simply because they come from authority figures, popular opinion, or persuasive voices. Instead, practice asking questions. Why do I believe this? What evidence supports it? Does this align with my values? By engaging in this process, you build the confidence to stand by your own conclusions, even when they differ from the majority. Independent thinking also requires the courage to embrace uncertainty. It can be uncomfortable to deviate from conventional thinking, or to admit when you are unsure. However, intellectual humility is a strength, not a weakness. Being open to new perspectives and willing to change your mind when presented with compelling evidence fosters growth and adaptability. It also protects you from being swayed by those who exploit certainty as a means of control, offering simple answers to complex problems in exchange for your compliance. Developing independent thinking often means challenging the status quo and standing firm in the face of opposition. This can be daunting, especially when it leads to conflict or alienation. Yet it is through such challenges that you refine your convictions and demonstrate the strength of your character. Surround yourself with people who respect your autonomy and encourage dialogue rather than conformity. Healthy relationships support independent thinking by valuing diverse perspectives and fostering mutual understanding. Independent thinking is not about rejecting all influence or isolating yourself from others. Instead, it is about balancing external input with internal reflection. Seek knowledge from a variety of sources, but always weigh it against your judgment. Be willing to listen, but retain the final say in your decisions. This balance ensures that you remain open to learning while maintaining control over your beliefs and actions. Ultimately, independent thinking is an act of self-respect. It affirms that your mind is your own, not a tool for others to shape to their liking. It empowers you to live with intention, make informed choices, and pursue a path that reflects your authentic self. By cultivating this skill, you safeguard your freedom and ensure that your life is guided by your wisdom rather than the agendas of others. Surrounding yourself with the right people is a vital aspect of building a life that is empowering, fulfilling, and free from exploitation. The people you choose to associate with have a profound influence on your mindset, decisions, and emotional well-being. They can either uplift and inspire you or drain and manipulate you. By being intentional about your relationships, you create an environment that nurtures your growth, respects your boundaries, and honors your worth. The first step in choosing the right people is recognizing the value of supportive, reciprocal relationships. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. They provide a safe space for you to be yourself without fear of judgment or exploitation. These are the connections that energize you, challenge you to grow, and celebrate your successes without envy or ulterior motives. When surrounded by such people, you feel valued and supported, which bolsters your confidence and sense of self-worth. In contrast, relationships with toxic or manipulative individuals can be emotionally and mentally draining. These people may exploit your kindness, disregard your boundaries, or use guilt and manipulation to control you. Signs of such behavior include one-sided interactions, where you are constantly giving but receiving little in return, or feeling obligated to compromise your needs to maintain the relationship. Relative spasms of depression or anxiety have been shown from time to time in relationships. Recognizing these patterns is crucial for protecting yourself and creating space for healthier connections. To attract and maintain the right relationships, it's essential to embody the qualities you seek in others. Be the kind of person who listens, supports, and respects boundaries. Authenticity is key. When you show up as your true self, you naturally draw people who appreciate you for who you are, rather than what they can gain from you. Building relationships on honesty and integrity sets the foundation for lasting and meaningful connections. Boundaries play a critical role in fostering the right relationships. People who truly care about you will respect your limits and understand your need for space, autonomy, and balance. Conversely, those who disregard your boundaries are unlikely to have your best interests at heart. Enforcing your boundaries sends a clear message about what you will and will not tolerate, ensuring that the people in your life align with your values and respect your worth. Finally, you demonstrate that your boundaries are unacceptable, and the way you tolerate things sends. It's also important to seek out individuals who inspire and challenge you to grow. Surrounding yourself with people who share your goals, values, or ambitions can be incredibly motivating. These relationships encourage you to step outside your comfort zone, learn new perspectives, and strive for excellence. Positive influences act as mirrors, reflecting the best parts of yourself and helping you recognize your potential. Ultimately, the right people add value to your life without diminishing your independence or self-respect. They celebrate your successes without jealousy, support you through challenges without judgment, and stand by you without hidden agendas. By intentionally choosing these connections, you build a network of relationships that not only enrich your life, but also protect you from being used, manipulated, or undervalued. The people you surround yourself with should be a source of strength, not a drain on your spirit. In closing, refusing to be used is not just a stance, but a commitment to living with integrity, self-respect, and purpose. It requires you to recognize your worth, set firm boundaries, and remain vigilant against manipulation. Empower yourself with the courage to say no when needed, and cultivate the independence of thought that allows you to stand strong in your decisions. In the same way, surround yourself with people who uplift, respect, and inspire you. Those who see you as an equal, not as a tool for their gain. By valuing yourself and demanding the same from others, you reclaim your power and set the tone for a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Let this commitment guide you, reminding you that your time, energy, and essence are far too precious to be wasted on anything that does not align with your highest self. Refusing to be used is not a rejection of others. It is an embrace of your true worth and the life you deserve. Step forward with confidence, knowing that by honoring yourself, you create a ripple effect of respect, dignity, and empowerment for all who cross your path. Thank you.